Welcome back to another episode of the Successful Driver Podcast. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with us. I'm excited to be spending a little bit of time with Micky Bhalla out of Toronto. He's one of our salesmen there at our Toronto branch. Micky, thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with us today.
Thank you so much, Ken. It's a pleasure being here.
I'm really excited to talk to you, talk across the borders at someone at our Aero Canada location. And, we'll get into some of that stuff here, but I want to know first off, Micky, we always ask this question. How did you get into the truck driving industry?
Whoa, that's, it's not been very long ago that I've been in this business, but honestly, if I think just top of my head, I don't know, but I know because I did some due diligence. I was a sales and marketing guy since very long, and I was more into marketing, events, and public relations and partnerships, and that's what my role has been for many years before getting into hardcore sales. Business development was another part for corporates and in the marketing domain. But then I got into sales of cars, pickup trucks, and that's what I did for about a year. And then I got into, I was going to get into another, sales setup for cars. But I realized this opportunity was there, and I happened to have a quick conversation one day with Seth, and we explored what it is in the trucking industry. I did some research, and I thought that this is a promising industry. I can do something for, somewhere indirectly for the community, and transportation is a huge business. Mm-hmm. And I took a chance, honestly, and it's been good for me so far.
That's awesome. So we love to ask this question, trying to get the different perspectives across the entirety of, the truck industry landscape. And so I'm going to ask you this question too. What, in your opinion, makes a successful truck driver?
A lot of aspects. I mean, it's quite a broad question, I would say. Mm-hmm. From being very thoughtful, getting into the business, what kind of company these drivers are working for, working as a driver, working as an owner-operator, or what kind of, they could be lucrative companies outside who would give you, options of very good pay rates, but are they good enough? No, yes. So these are some aspects that any driver, any owner-operator needs to know, and from picking up a truck, will it do the right kind of job for the guy? So there are all these aspects that calculations. It's a very competitive market for the drivers these days, and what kind of calculations? It's not just buying a truck and starting to drive. No. It is way more than that. It's you need to know what kind of loads, what kind of areas, how your maps work. So all those aspects.
Micky, you're out there. You're in sales there in Toronto. What do you think? How do you think you're helping truck drivers out there find success? What's your role in this whole story?
Okay, while our part is restricted to, picking up the equipment or choosing the right equipment. But I personally try and go a little out of the way to try and educate, especially the new buyers and the first-time owner-operators, to what they see or might sometimes miss as important aspects before buying a truck and getting into the business as an owner-operator. So while we are talking about the equipment, we also talk about what is the kind of role that they're getting into, what is the kind of loads that they're picking, which direction they're going, what kind of brand are they getting into. So, and especially the first-time buyers, I prefer to have these conversations to help them make the right decision, to keep them growing in the business and not feeling that it wasn't a good idea to jump from a driver to an owner operator.
Mm.
So yeah, these aspects we talk about, and the right equipment is not just about, you know, making them have a truck, but no, it has to be a right truck, has to be a right direction in the beginning. And very important thing that I usually try and tell the first timers that buy a warranty for sure. That because they don't know a lot of things, and buy a warranty, they understand what goes on as an owner operator because they're not used to maintaining a truck as a driver.
So, Micky, it
So
kind of sounds like one of the things that you really focus on is just making sure you can educate those first time truck buyers as much as you can to try to help them set up, from Jump Street. And that's a really valuable thing and a really, noble thing to try to do for these guys. So, this is a unique time in Canada for you guys. There's been maybe some even more restrictions in Canada than there has been in the United States. So
yeah,
how has, trying to communicate, trying to help educate some of these guys with some more restrictions on, face-to-face time and all that stuff, how has that affected your ability to do that?
so while yes, you're right, it's a little different from what it is in states. I understand that states, a lot of things opened up in the last 2-3 months.
Yes.
The basic restrictions of wearing masks and distancing is not there at a lot of places. But we have been continuously doing that, and it has it had hampered, not really hampered. It had a different. It's a different thing to do. So it was kind of a problem in the beginning. Well, people were, not very confident in getting into closed offices, and because you need to come to see, inspect the truck, see what you're getting into. But I think now I think everybody is accustomed to what it is, and because the restrictions haven't really changed in here, these basic restrictions, even if we are opening up a bit, but masks and social distancing is still there. People religiously follow that, and so we're all used to it. They see trucks, we maintain a distance, and they do all due diligence to safely buy trucks. It's not really changed much, honestly. The buying is there, people are coming in, it's there.
How much has technology helped you guys be able to do your job in the last year when maybe some of the restrictions were there?
A lot of video calls and video conferencings have come into play. We see DocuSign, as well as a very important part that is somewhere there and somewhere coming up now. We can do transactions without a lot of personal meetings, and that has definitely helped. And that's definitely helped the thought of any buyer to see, and ease of buying is there now with these advancements in the technology. They were there, but we less used earlier.
Mm-hmm. So I hear you talk about really trying to set guys up at the beginning for to do a good job, to be in the right truck, to be in the right situation for them. And we're talking about how technology is more we're more reliant on technology at times, especially with some of the shutdowns to try to sell trucks. But one thing I think is you merge both of those together is the idea of transparency. And that's a really important thing here at Arrow, and something that we're really pushing on. How important do you think transparency is for the trucking industry and for your ability to sell trucks?
Very, I would say. I mean, trucking industry or any other industry, I would say, maybe more vital in the transportation business. A lot of things depend on this equipment for a lot of stakeholders. Mm-hmm. These people, whoever the drivers, the owner operators, they're on the roads. They are responsible for a lot of people around them. So I think transparency in any business transaction, I would say, is very, very important. More so in the transportation industry, because there's a lot on stake for all the stakeholders.
Yeah, it's been a weird year, Mickey, and there's been a lot that's happened, and there's been a lot of adversity that we've all had to overcome. And the truck drivers that are out there are no difference. What have you seen, or any stories you might have about, or anything that you've learned about the truck drivers out there having to deal with a lot of adversity right now and a crazy time?
Um, we see we hear so many stories all the time meeting these drivers. If I have to think of some, there have been changes. There have been differences because a lot of drivers drive down to states and vice versa. I see a lot of restrictions and new, rules and regulations at the border as well, that a lot of these drivers tell us, because of the restrictions due to COVID, and they've not so pleasant ones as well. They were stuck at borders for hours, and then more checkings, more how much rules and regulations are being followed. So these are things that have been there. But other than that, I see a lot of new people coming in the industry as well, new buyers. People want to get into the business. They think this is very promising, even if it is, these COVID times, other businesses were interrupted and disrupted. Transportation somewhere has been there. It's gone up for some time. It's a little neutral now, but it's in the beginning last year was pretty much there. And I see. In fact, I recently had a police officer come in. This police car pulls up in our yard, and I see a cop coming in. I said, "Are we following the regulations? Everything good, or what's going on?" So after a quick conversation, we see this gentleman wants to get into the trucking business, wants to invest.
Wow.
So that was something a little different for all of us. He said, coincidentally, because there's a huge Indian Punjabi community that's there, who they own a lot of trucks and the trucking companies. So this guy, a Canadian, was married to a Indian girl, and the father-in-law runs a transportation company, and probably that's the influence he got, and he got into the trucking business now. He was looking for a truck. So people getting into the business, and a lot of different things that I saw in the last couple of months. Not just random truck drivers only buying trucks. No.
All right. Well, Micky, I appreciate your time so much. Thank you for spending a little bit of time with us here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it was great talking to you. And that is another episode of the Successful Driver Podcast. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts. Find us on Facebook and more. Thank you so much. We'll catch you later.